start with an opening statement from Coach Beard, and then we'll take questions for Eduardo Klafke.
There's only a handful of freshmen in the country playing, in the rotation all season long on top 25 teams, and Klafke's filled that role for us this year. Really proud and excited to coach him in the NCAA tournament. He's brought great value to our team and doesn't take the smartest guy in the room to understand where his career could go one day. But he has a real role in this year's team. We'll need him to play well in Milwaukee. It's a valuable part of what we're doing. He's had some big moments this season. So any questions for Klafke?
Eduardo, that shot, the three, kind of late in the game against Arkansas. You guys were down 8 at the time. It kind of felt like they were picking up momentum. You kind of take me through that play. You haven't shot the ball a whole lot this year. How big was that shot?
Yeah, it was a big shot for me because, as you said, I don't have the same amount of shots as the other guys take. So it means a lot for me because even though I'm not taking these shots in the game, each and every day I'm here and I'm putting the work in and I'm working on my craft. And for me to make that shot in the big moment of the game, it means a lot to me.
How difficult has it been to adjust to a role where I would assume most of your life you've been like the leading scorer and stuff, where you're not really asked to do that?
I mean, it wasn't that hard, My role is really simple, and it's to make the right plays and help my team win. Just play my ass off each and every day. So it wasn't really that hard. I just got to make the right plays and help my teammates.
I know you were kind of ahead of the curve when it comes to coming in as the freshman, having the redshirt year, but how do you feel like you're a different player now than you were at the beginning of the season?
More about the experience, I feel like my first few games, you are a little bit nervous and a little bit tense in the games, but now I know what I have to do when I get in. I know when to take the shot, when to do the right thing. So it's just about the experience.
What have you learned from playing on a team full of so many guys that are probably 4, 5, 6 years older than you?
I learn every day, Like today, I made some mistakes in practice, and they all pick me up. They say, "Don't get your head down," and they all help me. So I've been learning a lot each and every day.
You just kind of on that same vein, only a handful of players on this team have played in the NCAA tournament. Just conversations with them, and obviously your coach is coaching a few of them. Just what have the conversations about what you'll be experiencing come this weekend?
Yeah, I know this is the best time of the year. We all work very hard throughout the year just to get to this moment. So I'll just try to make the most of it because I know it's going to be. We all know that March is crazy. Everything happens. So I'll just try to make the most of it.
You guys already knew that you were going to be in, but what was it like seeing Ole Miss come up on the screen yesterday?
It was really good, as Coach Beard says. Yesterday we got to smell the roses and enjoy ourselves, but today's a new day. What was yesterday, and today we got the work in.
Growing up outside of the States, did you grow up watching the tournament, or has it always been a childhood goal, or obviously more when you...
No. I got to be honest with you. I didn't really watch a lot of college basketball. I didn't really know what college basketball was before I got here to the U.S., but I always seen the highlights, though. I never really sit down and watch the games, but the highlights go worldwide, so I got to watch some of that.
Do you have a favorite highlight, one that sticks out?
The first play that comes to my mind is like the big shots, like the game winners. Like, for example, I just remember Jalen Suggs hitting a game-winning shot from the half court in Gonzaga.
Do you think your game's at a point right now where you can be more aggressive looking for your shot?
Yeah, it's just about like knowing when to be aggressive and when to move the ball. I know my role. I'm a ball mover, but when I'm wide open, I know I'm gonna hit a shot. As I responded to his question before, each and every day I'm working on my craft, so I'm getting confident every day, and whenever I'm open, I shoot the ball.
All right, thanks, Eduardo.
Thank you.